Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming. Some of you may on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Echo, TJ's Path. So, y'all, it's been a little while since we did Echo, so let's go ahead and just jump right back into it, shall we? Please sit back and enjoy for the next 18 minutes while I tell you. Let's jump right in. Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Okay. Yep, the woman who lived here moved out right after what happened, but then her sister moved in. She told me about what happened when I bought the place. Angie looks down at the box that TJ's still holding. Do you know what he left you? How did you know to find it? It's an old scavenger hunt that we found. It told us to come here. Like, something he left behind? Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm sorry about what happened to your friend. You must have been children at the time? No one says anything, so I nod for him. I'm sorry. Also sorry for being so suspicious when you guys showed up. I thought I caught someone trying to break in a few days back. Can't be too careful. Don't worry about it. That's completely understandable. Angie nods, then shifts around. I don't want to pry, but what does it say? I didn't read it since I didn't want to intrude or anything. TJ lifts the lid again, then reaches in to pull out the piece of paper. It's identical to the others that we've seen. Angie takes the box from the link so he can use both paws to unfold the note. Then he starts reading. I hope that you're all having fun. Soon you'll know what Chase has done. Figure it out and it's a piece of cake. If you can't, look by Carl's drawing at the lake. It goes quiet for a while. The only sound is the wind rustling through the trees. Then I hear a gagging sound and look back just in time to see Carl hurling into some bushes. TJ is strangely calm as we sit in the motel room. It's been about half an hour since we found the last note. After Carl lost his lunch in the bushes, Julian drove him back home and we had to put the scavenger hunt on hold. TJ wants us all to be there for it. Julian is still with us and I keep wondering when the hell he's going to go home. He just joined our little group today and TJ acts like he needs to be part of this for some reason. He barely even knew Sydney, but that doesn't really matter. This whole thing is so ridiculous. It's so obvious that Sydney had nothing to do with this scavenger hunt. Someone's planting these damn notes, and they have it out for me. I sit with my back against the headboard of the bed, staring at my legs as TJ tries to defend this whole thing. If it's really bothering you, Chase, then you don't have to come. I bristle a bit. You're insisting everyone else go. Why not me? I force myself not to look over at Julian. I do want you to come, but you're so angry. I've never seen you like this. Oh, I have. We all have. Chase is just acting like his old self now. Jenna sits in the corner on her laptop as usual, smirking. It pisses me the fuck off. Listen, whoever's writing these has it out for me. Look at what the last one said. If Sydney wrote them and he always kind of teased you, it's just like him. Go quiet, looking away with a glare. What do you think the clues are implying about you, Chase? I think for a moment, but it's hard with all the anger that keeps threatening to bubble to the surface. I don't know. I just don't like the sound of it, and honestly, I try to think of the right way to word what I'm going to say. If you respect me, you'd see that and stop this stupid hunt. It goes quiet for a moment. Then Julian stands up. Hey, I'm gonna head out. Let me know what you guys decide to do tomorrow. I've got the whole day off. Oh, okay, man. Thank you so much for coming with us. TJ gives the stag a side hug, and I try to keep myself from bristling. Once Julian leaves out the door, TJ sits on the foot of the bed looking at me. I completely respect you, Chase, but I really think these are from Sydney. He's just teasing you. I don't say anything, choosing to look at the wall, feeling more unnerved by my own emotions than anything else. I don't feel like myself at all. I know I asked you this morning, but if you think this is something else, if something else is going on, who could it be? Jenna crosses her arms, looking at me earnestly. I sit there quietly for a moment, debating on whether or not I should tell them. I decide I have to, since neither of the others seem to see it. I think it's Flynn. What? I think it's Flynn and Carl. They're doing this whole thing. You can't be serious. Who else? Carl's the one that found the first note. I think Flynn gave it to him. The look on Jenna and TJ's faces makes me look away again. Am I going crazy? Chase, that's... Crazy, I know. But you saw how Carl was acting today. How nervous he was. He even threw up. Carl does that sometimes. Ugh! I slide my legs off the bed and let them hang over the side, fully facing the wall now. I know how Flynn was back at the river, but even he wouldn't do that. I look back at TJ with a glare. What about those texts he's sending you? What? TJ's paws flies to his pocket, a shocked look on his face. Jenna looks between us. What? Flynn sent TJ a text swearing at him. I think he's been messaging you this whole time. TJ's quiet, just staring at me. TJ, is that true? TJ stares at the floor for a moment before finally looking up, his voice oddly calm. Yeah, well, he's angry. Of course he would be. But he has no reason to be writing the scavenger hunt. Flynn would never do that. You sure about that? TJ glares back at me, and now I can tell I've made him angry. Yes. Why would he do it in the first place? I don't have to think hard on that one. To hurt TJ? To ruin our friendship by making up lies about me? To just be a complete dick? Take your pick. That's absolutely ridiculous. I don't say anything, choosing to glare at the wall. Jenna looks between us and again shakes her head. Alright, that's enough of this. Neither of you are acting like yourselves, so I think it's best we head to bed, alright? Whatever. I slide into the bed on my side, still staring at the wall, listening as TJ gets up and goes into the bathroom. Jenna goes on typing on her computer. I lay there quietly, deciding that I'm going to have to do something to stop this. Sneaking out of the motel room is probably the hardest part. I know that if they catch me at any point, it's over. It's about 3 a.m. At about 3 a.m., I slide out of my bed, listening to TJ snores and watching Jenna's unmoving form curled up on the bed in front of me. Quietly, I dig around in my bag for my keys and slip out the door into the night. I grip my teeth as my car starts up, imagining TJ or Jenna pulling back the curtains and seeing me sitting in the car. I've got excuses. I'm sick. I had to drive to the emergency room. Or even that I just couldn't sleep and wanted to get a snack somewhere. They're all suspicious, but should be enough to cover my ass if things go south. I drive along the quiet road, my surroundings almost black since the moon has set. It takes me a moment to find the side road that will take me to the shore. Once I do, I see one lonely orange light glaring in the middle of the parking lot. I park away from it at the edge of the lot. It's dark here. I sit in the car for a while, wondering what I'm doing, wondering what the fuck I'm going to do. But something drives me, a feeling that if I don't do this, then the rest of my life is going to be ruined. I can't let that happen. I open the door and quickly get out. I pull out my phone and turn on the light, finding the small dirt trail that leads out into the inky blackness. The air is cool and I can smell the lake. Pretty soon I can hear it too, the soft, desolate sound of the waves running against the thin strip of shore. It's peaceful, but at the same time it terrifies me, and for a moment I feel like the lake is one giant living thing. It dwarfs me with its presence, a giant, all-knowing thing. It knows I'm here. I shudder and force myself to continue. I find the shoreline and the dry sand shifts under my feet as I take a right and follow the shore. I try to ignore the sounds of the lake, the feeling that it's watching me, beckoning me towards it. Finally, I come across the boulder that I'm looking for. The one that Carl used to carve his drawings into. Of course it would be something Carl used. That fat piece of shit. I kneel down beside it, moving the light of my phone around until I find the drawings. I look at the super wolf etched into the rock, glaring. Then I see a glint of light above it. I shift the phone light up to see what it is. I gasp, but can't help a ragged scream from escaping my throat. A tarantula sits there, staring back at me, its cluster of eyes shining back in the darkness. I stumble back in the sand and fall, sitting down hard and causing my teeth to clack together. I scramble back up. I look around for a rock and quickly find one. When I turn back around and lift the light, the spider is gone. I look around for a while, in case it just moved around, maybe on the ground closer to me. I don't see anything, though, and I throw the rock at the lake, cursing the damn thing. Then I kneel down and look at the spot between the rocky ground and the boulder. It takes a few moments, and I have to get real close, but looking deeper into the crevice, and then there's a glint of what looks like metal. I start to dig, first with my bare hands, then with the help of a flat rock laying nearby. I'm sweating and gasping by the time I pull the thing free. It looks like an old lunchbox. I shine a light on it and can barely make out what looks like a cartoon dragon. Trogdor! I open it and pull out the note. I read it. In a fit of rage, I tear the stupid thing in half, throwing it on the ground. You fucker! I hiss out through my teeth, then pull out the piece of paper that I had taken out of one of Jenna's notebooks along with a pen. I write for a moment, using the old lunchbox as a flat surface. When I'm done, I drop it into the box, then wedge the box into the crevice, covering it up with loose dirt I'd moved. I pack it down, then stand back up. Thinking twice, I pick up the shredded note and stuff it into my pocket. Then I walk back to the shore and went up the trail, ignoring what looks like the eye shine of tarantulas all around me. Maybe it's just the stars. Chase, what have you done? That is my question. Oh my. Chase, what have you done? I don't remember much of the drive back, or the parking lot at the motel. The next thing I know, I'm standing next to the bed, glaring down at TJ, watching him sleep. That's fucking weird. Uh-oh. Saturday. We arrived at the lake at about 10 in the morning. Jillian had driven over an hour ago to pick us up before driving to Carl's house. Carl wasn't ready when we got there, and when he answered the door, his eyes were bleary and red. It took him a good 20 minutes to get ready, and all the while I struggled not to glare at him. It's weird. I've been friends with the Ram for almost my entire life, and it's only now that I'm feeling real disgust for the person that he is. So many self-created problems. He keeps his head down most of the time, so he doesn't see me. He's still feeling sick, too, so he opts to ride in the truck bed on the way down, and Jenna sits with him. I can't help but wonder what might happen if we have an accident. TJ sits next to me, and this time I'm sure to sit in the middle so that Julian is on my left and TJ is on my right. It feels better this way. As the lake comes into view, I rest a paw on TJ's knee. He glances at me, then nods in acknowledgement. I give his thigh a squeeze, and wait as we pull into the parking lot, going over the scenarios in my head for what might happen. Well, here we are. We don't say anything in response as we quietly get out of the truck. Jenna jumps out of the truck bed easily, but Carl struggles, and I imagine him falling straight out and face-planting in the asphalt. Jenna helps him, though, and then we're all walking down the trail toward the lake, single file. I walk right behind TJ, though, so I can keep an eye on him and anyone else that might try to fuck with him. Wow, it's been 12 years since I've been down here. Yeah. There's a cool freshness to the air by the lake. I breathe it in and get hit with the sweet memories of spending entire days down here. Swimming in the lake, building sand castles, poking at dead fish on the beach. As we start walking on the beach and we approach the big boulder, I feel my heart start to hammer in my chest. I pick up my speed to catch up to TJ. How are you feeling? I'm okay. You don't sound okay. I'm nervous. We all are. I actually feel like I'm going to throw up. TJ suddenly reaches out his paw and holds mine. I'm surprised. TJ's never done this before, and though I know it's probably due to the situation we're in, it still makes me feel warm inside. It's going to be okay. I know it. This is going to be the end. TJ's voice breaks up on the last word. The end? The end of what, exactly? TJ's guilt over Sydney? The mystery over what exactly happened to him? Of the world as we know it? Yeah, that's probably it. Because I know that after this morning, things are never going to be the same again. Just remember that if it's buried by that boulder, it's probably gone by now. I know I've said that every time before, but the lake has flooded a few times since. Look up at the steep, rocky bank on our right. Remember that spring that it went all the way up to the road? Yeah. I look back at our friends. They're just walking side by side with Carl, talking to him in a low voice. Julian is ahead of them, and he's looking directly at me. I look away. I'm just saying that even if it's there, it's probably water damage to the point that we won't be able to read it. TJ stays silent just as we come up on the rock, sitting there on the beach like it has since I can remember. Probably like it has since before the lake was even created. TJ still holds my paw as Julian, Jenna, and Carl stand next to us, the five of us in a sort of semicircle around the boulder. Well, here we are. Julian says the exact same thing he said in the parking lot, and I feel myself starting to get annoyed. But I cling to TJ's paw, and that calms me down a little. So if it's still here, it could be anywhere. Knowing Sydney, Jenna says his name carefully. He'd probably leave a marker of some kind. This one could be hard to find. Remember that he said it's by Carl's drawings. It'd probably be right next to that. I don't know, guys. The other ones were inside of something. This is just out on a bench. And this is just out on a beach, and the sand's changing all the time. Carl digs at the damp sand with a hoof. His paws shoved into his pockets, eyes downcast. Everything okay, Carl? I say it sharply, not bothering to filter out the annoyance in my voice. He looks up at me, a bit surprised. Huh? Oh, yeah, I'm okay. I just feel sicker from the ride down. Smoke too much? Carl frowns. No, I just get sick sometimes when I feel stressed out. The weed makes me feel less sick, actually. I stop myself from asking what it is he's so stressed out about. Are you okay, Chase? I'm good. I shouldn't be drawing attention to myself right now. Meanwhile, Julian is walking around the boulder, looking for the drawing. TJ lets go of my paw finally and starts to walk around the boulder from the other side. Almost immediately, he points excitedly. Oh, Carl, your drawing! Carl sidles up to him before chuckling quietly. Oh, yeah! For some reason, I thought it'd be gone by now. Why would it be? You chipped it in the rock. Didn't you spend like a month doing that? Carl looks down at his paws. Ha! Yeah, fuck my paws up doing it. Fuck my paws up doing it, too. I move around to stand next to them and see the rough outline of a muscular wolf with a long cape. Super Wolf. Carl had been obsessed with that superhero since the new movie was coming out that summer. I don't think he liked it very much because right after he saw it, he stopped working on the etching. It's actually pretty good, especially when you consider that Carl was like 9 when he did it. I push those memories out of my head, wiping out the smiling childhood face of Carl from my mind. But I steel myself, preparing for what I'm going to say and for what's about to happen. Hey, look at the sand underneath it. Everyone looks down in unison at where I'm pointing my finger. I let it sink in for a moment before I say it. The dirt, it looks like someone dug it up recently. No one says anything. Or maybe the sand's just wetter there, I don't know. TJ kneels down next to the boulder, reaching out a paw to steady himself against it as Julian kneels down across from him. He reaches out with the other paw, poking at the loose-looking dirt, slightly darker than the sand around it. Still, no one says anything, and I decide not to push it further, knowing that I've already planted a seed of doubt in TJ's mind. We should have grabbed the garden shovel from your house, Carl. Yeah! I pick up the flat rock I used last night. Here. I hand it to Julian. He looks at it for a second before digging the sharp end into the dirt. It sinks in deep and easily before the stag turns out the sand. Less than a minute later, TJ gasps and reaches into the shallow hole, pulling out the lunchbox. Now that there's daylight, I can see the chipped green paint on the dragon. TJ holds it for a moment, staring down at it. Julian looks around at us. Was that Sydney's? I can't remember, but TJ nods with shaky hands and latch the metal clasps. Carl stands further back than the rest of us, motionless. Jenna once again has a paw up to her mouth, not saying anything. TJ opens the lid. The hinges squeak a little as the tin lid flops open, revealing my note. Paw still shaking, TJ reaches in. At this point, there's still hesitation in TJ's movements. He's eager to find out what it says, eager to get this done. TJ unfolds the note, then reads it. He doesn't read it aloud, instead letting his eyes go back and forth over the page while the rest of us wait. I know at this point that he's finished reading it, but he still doesn't say anything, eyes glued to the page. TJ? TJ doesn't say anything, continuing to stare. TJ, what does it say? TJ sits there for a few more seconds before he wordlessly holds out the note to no one in particular. His face is blank for the most part, but I can see the shock in his eyes. Julian takes it from him and starts reading. You've reached the end, but I don't have the answer, so I'll ask again. TJ, what happened to Sydney? The silence that follows is one of the heaviest that I've ever experienced. Carl's still frozen, but now he's looking up at Julian. Jenna moved her paw from her mouth at this point, but she's clutching her necklace, her eyes on TJ. Julian is just staring at the links, waiting, probably unsure of what any of this means. TJ, meanwhile, stares at the hole that we dug up, his paws laying limp on his lap, ears drooping. I start walking over to him. What does it mean? Do you guys know? I rest a paw on TJ's shoulder, touching it softly. He doesn't move, so I crouch down next to him, slowly wrapping an arm around his shoulders, drawing him in. I can feel him trembling. Guys? I look over at Julian with a sad look on my face. We have a friend who has a grudge about this whole thing. I think he might have been the one leaving the notes. What did the original note say, Chase? TJ shakes his head against me, but doesn't say anything. Julian stares. But why? I shrug, beginning to stroke the top of TJ's head. Julian looks from me to TJ. I don't know. Maybe he thought that this was his last chance to hurt TJ somehow. I really don't know. Jenna and Carl have walked up to the stand to stand next to us, and both seem to be at a loss for words. The paper is different, though. TJ's voice is distant and faint, muffled against my chest. There are ways to make paper look old. Maybe he just didn't have time to with this one. Julian shakes his head. Listen, I know I've only been part of this for a day, but this is crazy, and those are a lot of assumptions. Do you really know what happened? If you knew this friend of ours like we do, you'd understand how obvious this is. But then Jenna shakes her head as well. Oh boy. Chase, what did you fucking do? Oh man. Alright, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right here. Looks like the mystery only deepens from here. Alright, anyway, guys and gals, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, leave a super thanks or a tip if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!